Group 1 Greyhound Racing returns to the Meadows this Saturday night for one of the, the highlights of the racing calendar, the Group 1 Australian Cup. And George, for the first time, $300,000 to the winner.
Yeah, life-changing for some of these connections, and some races makes it a little bit clearer when a box draw comes out. This one, I think, has made it a bit more cloudy.
Oh, there's no doubt. We take a look at the draw now. Whiskey Right, well, he was $1.60 prior to the draw on Monday morning. As soon as the draw came out, the market came out, and out he went to $2.10.
Yeah, I think everyone's predicting a bit of a collision course between the 7 Scatterbox and the 8 Whiskey Right. Clearly, Whiskey Right is the more dominant greyhound, but as you know, those first few steps are so vital in greyhound racing.
We're seeing the replay now of Scatterbox, George, from box number 2 in that respective heat. Just rolled straight up the track before coming back in. Drawing 7. If Scatterbox runs up the same way, Whiskey Right is at least going to make contact with Scatterbox in the run to the first corner, and that is why the $1.60 is now $2.10.
And the issue for Whiskey Right is that Scatterbox has been lid pinging, and if he does that again, that first little 20 metres could cause some problems, and I think that's why the drift in market has occurred.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a tough assignment for Whiskey Right, but he was by far the fastest of the qualifiers. Let's take a look at some of the heats. Hardstyle Rico. It was just a really hard-fought win from this greyhound. Normally at the Meadows, consistently breaking 30. This time it was 30.09, but came from a long way back.
Yeah, workmanlike. He's made a few of these group finals. You just feel his time is getting really close. Now, whether that's Saturday or in a couple of weeks' time, if he heads back to Wentworth Park, he's just right there, this greyhound. I don't really mind his draw because I think he should be able to beat out Mr. Hollywood drawing his inside.
If he can tuck in and get a run at them, he could even lead, so who knows. Heat number 3, Aston Cade. I was really impressed with this victory. The speed of the race was outstanding, set by Shimmer Breeze. Thought she was unlucky not to have won it, but Aston Cade, he's beaten her a couple of times of late, 17.65 working off the back. I thought it was a really impressive victory.
He's emerging, this dog. He's broken 25 seconds a couple of times at Ballarat in the lead up behind greyhounds like Tiggerlong Tonk, and he might be the smoky, and they've had a little bit of a go at him with the tab in from $7 to $6 already. Yeah,
well, there's been a daily dominance in this race as well, of course, winning it last year with Dinah Paddy, and Dinah Double won a few years ago. Moving down to the next heat, which was Mr. Hollywood. I was pretty keen on him to win his heat the other night. He tucked in behind the speed, and I think to win a big Group 1, he needed to be drawn down near the inside.
Yeah, that was his only hope. He's going to have to rely on a little bit of traffic in front of him and just to hunt up underneath them. If he's able to do that, he's almost the strongest dog in the race.
Yeah, well, if he gets a run at them, he'll be thereabouts. Now, I almost feel like taking a break and just watching Whiskey Right because he was just so impressive. 5 flat to the mark. What was it? 17.51 down the back and 29.47. He is better than when he won the Melbourne Cup, there's no doubt.
Yeah, that month off, I think, has done him the world of good. He's aiming to become the 6th greyhound to win over $1 million, only the 4th to win the Australian Cup, Melbourne Cup double. Can he do it? I know the box draw hasn't suited him here, but if he's able to do it, it'll be one of the great wins.
Oh, look, if he clears Scatterbox, he's a massive chance to win. And did 29.47 surprise you?
Probably not the way he's been going, but he's starting to put the time on the board now too. He's a freakish greyhound.
I was sort of thinking the 29.6, but he was on from the get-go, straight to the front. Hardaway Winnie sprung a little bit of the upset as well in the next heat, going 29.777. And the reason we speak of her, George, is she could be a bit of the key to the race, Hardaway Winnie, because the greyhound does like to run up the centre of the track. So that, again, could keep Whiskey Right off the rail.
I think Connections were pretty happy with the draw, and she's been lid pinging. And if there is trouble with Scatterbox and Whiskey Riot, she's in this up to her ears, that's for sure.
Yeah, last 2 heats were last hurrah, springing an upset for Brett Nye, who's only been a trainer for 9 months, which is just staggering.
It's a terrific story, isn't it? It was his first city winner, and it was in the heat of the Australian Cup, so good luck to Brett on Saturday night.
And Fernando's right, I guess you could call it the second stringer for the Azzopardi kennel. He probably, and I'm being really harsh here, but he maybe just lacks a little bit of mid-race pace. He's got good burn early, he finishes really well, but he might just lack a little bit in that centre 200 compared to these rivals.
Yeah, I think Whiskey Right wasn't the only one to draw pretty badly for Anthony. I think he's sort of in an awkward position off the 6.
Well, tips, mate, for the big one, the Group 1 Australian Cup.
This was really hard.
It was,
I found it really hard, but my numbers are 5, 8, 1 and 3. I've gone Hardaway Winnie because I just like the way she's been getting out. She's around a $7 chance. I think if she can find the top, she's very strong. She ran away from Tigalong Tonk. I think her form line is as good as anything. Number 8, Whiskey Riot. I just cannot leave him out, even though he's drawn absolutely horribly. I cannot leave him out of my top 4. Number 1, Aston Cade. I know you're keen on him. He's drawn really well. He went 5.05 to the mark, a repeat of that, and he's right in amongst it. And I've got a feeling about Hardstyle Rico as well. He's probably the X factor, a greyhound going places.
Yeah, look, my numbers here, George. I've gone 1, 3, 2 and 8. I'm pretty keen on Aston Cade. I just bounced back to the inside draw. Dinah Paddy won from this last year. The way I looked at the race, I just thought if Aston Cade can hold his place on the inside, he went 5.05 working on the outside of Shimmer Breeze last week. Just had to switch heels a few times in the run. I think he can run 29.60 from the inside. That could be enough. For second, I've gone 3, Hardstyle Rico. He just loves the meadows. If he gets close, he'll be there at the end. 2, Mr. Harleywood, just to tuck in behind the red. I think if the 1 wins, Mr. Harleywood goes well, and I've put the 8 for 4th, and I feel terrible for tipping him 4th. He's that great a greyhound, and I wouldn't be surprised if Whiskey Riot absolutely annihilates this field, but he will need luck at the start. Yeah,
it's just those first couple of steps, and your tip, Aston Cade, of course, the Daily Camp have won 5 of the last 10. It's an incredible stat.
It is, mate. $20 spend. I'll go $10 each way, Aston Cade. You know I love the each way play. The simple bet, and I think at $6 we can't go wrong.
I'm going to follow you, but with number 5, $10 each way on the 5 Hardaway Winnie.
Well, it's going to be a cracker. The Group 1 Tab Australian Cup this Saturday night. Get to the Meadows. It's going to be Group 1 racing.